listening to Jai Long, and this is Make Your Break. Whether you're a big-hearted creative or an aspiring entrepreneur, let's take action on your dreams, reconnecting you with your why and giving you the how. I'm here to dish out actionable mindset tips and fun industry secrets to help you blow up your biz. From eye-opening reality checks to motivational gold, no two episodes are ever the same. So tune in weekly, skip the FOMO, and let's dive into the deep together. Hey, today, a little bit of a funny story. I'm actually sitting in my car inside my warehouse because two reasons. It's really cold right now in my warehouse. And the second reason is because it's so loud and it's really hard for me to find a good place to actually record. I think it's funny because a lot of the times we think, some of the bigger entrepreneurs have things sorted out. But as I have grown as an entrepreneur, I realized I've got nothing sorted out. It's still the same dodgy thing where I'm just showing up and doing whatever. But we want to keep today's episode really short, and I want to talk about a few different things. But one thing is going to be about failure, right? And success. So one of the things a lot of people don't realize with success is it really is an iceberg. So when I say success is an iceberg, it's because what you see is always the tip that comes out of the ocean. And what we don't see is everything, like 99% of everything else that's below the ocean. And I think that's really important to share with you because so many people can look at someone and think, geez, they just have it worked out. They've got the resources, they've got the success, they've got the fame, they've got the followers, they've got the subscribers, like whatever it is. And they don't see the hardship they go through or how much they have to show up with the persistence or how many times they failed to get that tiny bit of success by the time it finally reaches you and you actually see something. Does that make sense? I want to share this with you because I know sometimes it's easy to compete and compare with other people in your field, but you have to have admiration for someone that is successful because seriously, when I see someone that's more successful than me, I'm like, man, they really must have showed up because I know how much I show up. I know how hard I work. I know it's Sunday afternoon right now and I'm freezing cold and I'm sitting in my car recording a podcast episode for you guys because it's last minute to make sure it comes out on time. I know that I do that stuff right now. When I see someone that's more successful than me, I'm like, man, you must be going after it. You must have some big goals. And then I admire those people, right? Because I know no one on this planet has the success that, that I want and that you want without paying the success tax, without actually working hard for it, without going through a lot of adversity and obstacles and things like that, without failing a lot of times. And that's one of the most important things that I want to talk about today. Failing, right? We get so scared of it. And I just got asked a question on Instagram. What is the biggest thing that's helped me in my career to become a successful entrepreneur? Now, for starters, I wouldn't consider myself a successful entrepreneur because I still think I'm doing my thing and I'm experimenting and I'm playing and I'm doing whatever, but that's besides the point, right? I think one of the most important things to become a successful entrepreneur is to become okay with failing. And that's why I want to start this conversation and talk about, for me, it's probably a 95% fail rate to my 5% success rate. And I know when I hit that success, you see it. Does that make sense? And then that's the only thing that you may see, but you don't see all the times I'm showing up, I'm working for free, I'm selling workshop tickets that no one buys, I'm holding events that no one attends, I'm putting out podcast audios that no one listens to. Like I do all the things all the time. I post on Instagram that no one sees. And it's so important to remember this stuff. So one of the most important things to become a successful entrepreneur is to be okay with failing. So I always say, you're going to fail. It's just part of it. Like things are just not going to work out all the time. So learn to fail fast. The faster that you fall, make sure you're always falling forward, right? So that means you're learning something from your mistakes. You're learning and you're pushing and you're continuing the momentum to go actual forward. So failing forward. You've probably heard someone out there on the internet say that before. I've definitely heard it before, but failing forward. Now, one of the biggest pivotal points in my career where I think I learned a lot and I can dedicate a lot of my success to is the fact that I tried when I was 20 years old to start a cafe, and it was a big, big thing, right? Starting a cafe, it was scary. I didn't know business. I didn't know how to do anything. I had no resources. I had no money. I didn't have the network. I didn't have anything. There was no followers on social media. There was no other reason to do it except to try and experiment and to get my dad a job. And if you know the story, then you know the story, right? But I pushed relentlessly for that 12 months that we had that cafe open. I brainstormed different ideas. I got on an extra job. I tried to make more income and I was losing it all. And it took 12 months for me to finally admit that I failed, close up shop and leave everything behind. And it was one of the hardest points of my career. One of the most hardest years of my life, to be honest, because straight afterwards, Lilo and I broke up. Just before, my dad passed away of a drug overdose. There was just a lot of personal things that were going on at the same time. I was also getting blackmailed by my then boss as well. And there was just a lot of stuff going on at that time, right? And it's hard to see the light when you're going and pushing through so many things. And you just think like, man, this is never going to be over. Like, what is happening here, right? But I think that year I learned more than anything. I learned how to be resilient. I learned how to relentlessly keep showing up. I learned how to fall off the horse and then how it feels to get back on the horse. I think that's so important. If you can go through that where you understand what it feels like when you lose it all and then you realize it's not as bad as you think, then you're ready to go all in. And you'll learn so much from those mistakes because I tell you what, the mistakes that I made that year, I'm not going to make again. I make new mistakes right now. Of course, I make new mistakes, but new mistakes are going to lead to new experiences and new education. I'm learning and I'm failing forward all the time. And I make sure I'm always experimenting, I'm testing, I'm pivoting, I'm adapting, I'm moving, and I make sure that I'm never stagnant, just staying on the same thing, doing the same thing. And that to me is success, right? So I want you to think about failure differently. Just remember, like when you feel like, man, I've just failed. Like I got an inquiry, they never got back to me. Maybe I don't know how to convert emails. Like I just posted something on Instagram, no one ever seen it. I bought all this camera gear and now I've overstretched myself. I can't afford the repayments on my car. You know, whatever it is for you, you just can't keep going. You've ran out of steam. You've ran out of stamina. You ran out of creativity. You ran out of ambition. Your dreams are just too far away. I want you to remember, like, everyone's gone through it. And if you are a part of the 5% that can push through and go, hey, I've seen this before. I know what this is. And I know that if I can get through this last bit, I know 95% of the population can't. And I'll get the success that others won't have because I showed up like they didn't. Does that make sense? Now, I want to make sure I'm really driving that home. If you want the success that other people don't have, you need to do the things that other people won't do. You know, a lot of us, we always forget that. We forget that the people that show up like no one else would. Like, for instance, for myself right now, I'm literally sitting in my car Sunday afternoon and I'm recording a podcast episode. I worked all weekend for free. I've worked all year for free for my no skin business, right? And people say like, oh, you're starting another business. That's cool. You're just making money from money. Mate, there's no money getting made here. It's costing me money. I'm investing money to make products and then I'm investing time to stand here at the shop and I'm actually a shopkeeper again, you know? I'm doing these things because one day someone's going to say, Jai, how did you get that successful, you know, world-known brand? How did that happen? Like, you must have just fell into it. You must have been in the right place at the right time. You must have just had money. You must have just had resources. And what people don't see is how relentless someone like myself just keeps showing up. You know, I don't care if I get paid or not. Like, I don't care if I'm going to lose my house. I don't care if I'm going to lose my car. Those things are worth losing for me to go all in on my dreams for the success that I want that no one else has. Does that make sense? So for you, I want you to reframe the way that you think around failure because for some reason, it's so heavy for so many of us. And sometimes it's not even us failing. We've seen our parents fail. We've seen our dad fail. And I know Jim Carrey said this, like, I'd rather fail doing something that I love than watching my dad fail doing something that he hated, right? And I want you to be thinking that, like, would you rather fail doing what you love and actually giving it a try, going all in on what you believe? Or would you rather just try a little bit and then giving up and then failing, but knowing that you didn't even put in, not even 80% of what you could have put in? I think that's so important to think about because I know for myself, like when I'm doing something, like regardless of the failure rate, I think it's worth doing. If I think it's worth doing, then I'm going all in, like 100% all in. If the odds are stacked against me and I think a business, for instance, like I think No Skin probably has maybe a 30% success rate. Like maybe it's going to take off. Who knows? 70% it won't. But for me, it's worth me going all in for that 30% because I'm like, I know it's going to fail if I don't, right? I know it's going to fail if I show up 50% of the time, 70% of the time, investing 70% of the time, not learning who I need to learn from, not educating myself, not getting out of my comfort zone, all those things. So I already know what's going to happen in that space. I'm going to fail because I've already failed in my head. If I didn't, why am I even doing it? Why wouldn't I be going 100% in if I didn't believe 100%? If you hesitate even 5%, if you just hesitate a tiny bit, you're missing out. You will miss it, right? You'll miss the success because the people that get it, they're the 100%ers that went, hey, I got to the 95%. That was hard work. Yeah, absolutely. I had to show up all the time relentlessly. The 5%, is freaking hard, man. That last little push when you think you've almost got there and then something pushes you down or, something like COVID hits or you just feel like you don't have enough energy to keep going. That's the difference between someone that has the success that others don't have and then someone that always admires the people that have the success, right? So I want you to be thinking about like, what side of the category are you in? Are you the one that's like has the success that people admire, or are you spending your time admiring others because of their courage? Do you have the courage to go after it? Please, like ask yourself that question. So again, I just wanted to really drive home. This is a short episode. Drive home. I'm sitting in my car, so that's pretty funny. Wanted to drive home at this point that failure doesn't have to be as hard as you think. Everyone goes through it. You're not alone. It's not an isolating thing. It's part of it. It's called success tax. Anyone that I know that has tremendous amount of success, a lot of the times they come from nothing. They had nothing. They didn't have any resources, but they were very resourceful, right? They were very resilient. They were relentless. They had a goal, they had a target, and they went after it. And I want you to be thinking about this week, like, what is your goal? What is your target? Are you willing to go all in, or are you just dipping your toes in the water? Are you willing to go all in on your dreams? Because if you're not, then you don't actually believe in them. You're hesitating and you're going to lose. You're going to be part of the iceberg that's not sticking out of the water yet. So again, hey, if you like today's podcast episode, definitely get over to my Instagram, say hi, DM me at jailong.co. I'm actually doing some reels at the moment. I'm just sort of challenging myself. So I'm doing 30 seconds with Jai every day. You can submit in a question. I'm going to answer your question. So that's going to be fun. The 6-figure business map opens up next month. And if you want to join the wait list, you're going to get my pricing calculator for free. So head over to there, which is at jailong.co, and you'll see a link. Other than that, guys, just remember this week, I want you to be thinking relentlessly, how can you be showing up? How can you get that iceberg out of the water so you can enjoy some success? Because when you get those wins, it gives you momentum. And seriously, you need that momentum. And sometimes we just need that little win to prove to ourselves that we're on the right track. Guys, I'll talk to you next week.